Unfortunately, the pandemic has slightly slewed things, in as much as it's hard to spend as much time with the Queen.
Royal insiders are reeling in disbelief after a stunning new development emerged from the inner sanctums of Buckingham Palace. In a move that signals a profound strategic pivot, King Charles has reportedly made a shocking proposal that changes everything we thought we knew about the monarchy's future. In tandem with this, the Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, has officially accepted a major public-facing role that once belonged to Meghan Markle. This decisive action has sent shockwaves through the royal family, immediately sparking whispers of rivalry, redemption, and a bold new chapter of renewal for the House of Windsor. So, what exactly did Charles propose, and why has Sophie been chosen as the central figure in this new vision? Today, we uncover the royal shakeup that is actively rewriting the family's future. This royal shift began not with a bang, but with a whisper. There were no press conferences, no flashing camera bulbs, nor any of the usual royal fanfare. There were no official statements or carefully worded palace press releases, just a quiet, decisive intention, murmured between the king and his most trusted confidants as it moved through the gilded halls of Buckingham Palace. Yet those few hushed words would soon reshape the entire royal landscape. King Charles III, eager to modernize the monarchy and restore its balance after years of unprecedented turbulence, made a move that few saw coming. Behind closed doors, he proposed a plan that reportedly stunned even his closest advisors. He wanted the Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie, the Queen's once dependable rock, to step into the prominent public role and platform once held by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. To the outside world, this decision might have seemed straightforward, even predictable, one royal simply stepping in to fill a void left by another. But within the palace's ancient walls, the move was loaded with far deeper symbolism. Meghan had represented a potent, new kind of royal force, a fresh, modern voice, outspoken, glamorous, and instantly adored by millions across the globe. Her departure alongside Prince Harry didn't just create a family rift, it left a visible and functional gap in the royal family's working structure. Public engagements in certain sectors slowed, charitable causes clamored for high-profile representation, and the monarchy's narrative to a new generation struggled to find a consistent and compelling rhythm. Charles, a monarch acutely aware of his legacy, knew that if the institution was to survive the intense scrutiny of a fast-changing world, it needed faces that embodied both unwavering tradition and a kind of quiet, proven resilience. Sophie, with her decades of dedicated, understated service, seemed the perfect fit. She had never chased the spotlight, yet she had consistently earned profound respect through steadfast action rather than headline-grabbing attention. When news of the king's private proposal reached her, the Duchess remained as poised as ever. But it was during a small gathering, when a journalist tentatively asked if she felt prepared to fill the void Meghan Markle had left behind, that Sophie's response created the moment that shifted everything. With a gentle smile and eyes that held both infinite patience and a quiet, simmering fire, she said, "What did people think we were doing before?" It was a simple, almost offhand question, yet it landed with the force of a royal thunderclap. In a single elegant sentence, Sophie effortlessly dismantled years of public misconception. She wasn't suddenly stepping up because of Meghan's absence. She had always been there, working diligently and effectively behind the scenes, her commitment a constant in a sea of change. Her words weren't boastful or bitter. They were a simple, powerful reclamation of a narrative, a reminder that while some stars burn bright and fast, others provide a steady, enduring light by which the monarchy can reliably navigate its future. They were a gentle but firm reminder that real, transformative service doesn't require a global stage or constant applause. Those in the room fell into a respectful, knowing silence. Across the media landscape, her remarks spread like wildfire, a perfectly poised soundbite that captured a rare blend of unassuming grace and unyielding strength. Commentators hailed it as the royal comeback of the decade, while palace insiders described it more strategically as the precise moment the crown subtly, but irrevocably shifted its balance back toward stability and substance. For King Charles, the exchange confirmed what he had always believed. Sophie wasn't just a convenient substitute, she was a symbol, a living, breathing example of the kind of steady, dependable service that had defined his late mother's reign for 70 years. His proposal, therefore, was never merely about filling a vacancy left by drama and departure. It was a deliberate move to restore the monarchy's very heartbeat, a pulse of quiet diligence that had been drowned out by years of turbulence, and in that quiet yet powerfully resonant moment, it became clear to all, Sophie wasn't replacing anyone. She was in fact redefining what it truly meant to serve the crown in the modern age. King Charles's secret proposal didn't just reaffirm Sophie's place within the royal fold, it strategically elevated and strengthened her role to the very heart of public-facing royal duty. What truly drove the king to make such a bold and symbolic choice? And does Sophie truly deserve the title of the monarchy's new linchpin? To understand that, we must now delve into how Sophie became the chosen one, the monarch's most trusted secret weapon. Long before the palace's quiet reshuffle or King Charles's unexpected proposal, the Duchess of Edinburgh had already, brick by brick, carved her place as one of the monarchy's most dependable and resilient pillars. She never needed grand speeches, glittering scandals, or glossy magazine covers to prove her worth. Her record, written in decades of action, spoke louder than any royal title ever could. While others captured headlines and drew transient crowds, Sophie was capturing something far more enduring: the hearts and trust of the people she served. And her work was never about superficial appearances, it was always about tangible, lasting impact. Over the years, she has devoted herself to the patronage of more than 70 charities across the globe, consistently focusing her energy on causes that reflected compassion over glamour. From championing women's rights in conflict zones and promoting gender equality in the workplace, to supporting individuals with disabilities and those facing brutal social exclusion, Sophie's presence has always carried a quiet, unwavering strength. Her dedication was never loud or flashy. It was genuine, consistent, and deeply human. Royal author Katie Nicholl once described her as the Windsor's secret weapon, and the nickname couldn't have been more fitting. While the world watched other royals, Sophie had become the monarchy's silent, relentless force, a royal who demonstrably preferred impactful boardroom discussions to red carpets, and the hushed, meaningful conversations in hospital wards to the clamor of gala halls. Her approach was deceptively simple: service without spectacle. She has always represented the crown with a grounded dignity that reminds people what the institution at its best once stood for: duty over desire, discipline over drama, and decency above all else. In a world obsessed with noise, Sophie reminds us of the power of a whisper and how sometimes that whisper can echo the loudest of all. King Charles saw that quality clearly. Amid a royal landscape often shaken by public controversies, shifting loyalties, and deeply fractured relationships, Sophie remained the unwavering calm in the storm. Where others had sought independence or an escape from the confines of royal duty, she had not just endured them, but had quietly, purposefully embraced them as a vocation. She showed up, not for the applause of the crowd or the flash of the camera, but because she possessed a genuine, unshakable belief in the work itself. To the king, this profound intrinsic motivation made her invaluable. He trusted her, not merely as a competent working royal, but as a living reflection of the monarchy's best self, steady, loyal, and utterly unshaken by the external noise that so often threatened to destabilize the institution. Sophie's strength, however, wasn't just in her dedication, it was in her remarkable restraint. She had mastered the delicate, almost forgotten art of serving without overshadowing the central mission, and leading without ever demanding the spotlight for herself. This, combined with her palpable warmth and ironclad reliability, gradually made her one of the few royals the public genuinely admired without reservation or cynicism. She wasn't chasing popularity, yet she earned it effortlessly through the sheer, unvarnished force of her sincerity. In an era where modern, media-driven personalities were aggressively redefining the royal image, Sophie represented something timeless and deeply reassuring: quiet power. She didn't just maintain the crown's dignity through tradition, she actively refreshed it through authentic human connection. Her every engagement, her every act of quiet empathy, reinforced the core values King Charles was determined to preserve throughout his reign: purpose over performance and service over self. By the time the king consciously began his search for someone to embody the next, more resilient phase of the monarchy, the choice was obvious. Sophie didn't just fit the role, she had long been living it. While others sought to dramatically reinvent what it meant to be royal, she simply and powerfully reminded the world why the title mattered in the first place. Her grace became her armor, her humility, her most distinguished crown. And without ever demanding the spotlight, Duchess Sophie became the royal family's most potent and enduring force, a quiet revolution. She had already proven herself vital to royal life long before receiving any official enlarged title. But how did she rise to such an honored and trusted position within the monarchy? Now let's uncover the foundational journey of how Duchess Sophie transformed potential scandal into unassailable strength, becoming the woman who truly earned her crown. Sophie's royal story didn't begin with grandeur or inherited privilege. Long before the world knew her as the Duchess of Edinburgh, the foundation of Sophie's remarkable character was being laid not within gilded palace halls, but in the demanding world of independent enterprise. She was, first and foremost, Sophie Rhys-Jones, a determined young woman from Oxford intent on forging her own path and making a mark through sheer merit. With a formidable work ethic and an unshakable belief in perseverance, she co-founded a small public relations firm, building it from the ground up through late nights and an unrelenting drive. This chapter of her life was a masterclass in real-world resilience, teaching her invaluable lessons in strategic communication, unflappable composure under pressure, and the art of navigating complex public perceptions, skills that would prove fatefully crucial when her life took a dramatic and unforeseen turn. In 2001, a devastating sting operation by an undercover tabloid reporter who tricked her into making indiscreet remarks plunged her into the center of a raging royal scandal that dominated global headlines. Many spectators assumed the controversy would irreparably damage her relationship with the monarchy and end her public future. Yet, in the face of this humiliation, Sophie did not choose to disappear, offer hollow denials, or fuel the drama. Instead, she demonstrated a quality far rarer in the public eye. She took full accountability, absorbed the difficult lesson with grace, and quietly began the process of rebuilding. She courageously left her successful business career behind, redirecting her formidable energies and professional skills entirely toward the pathway of royal duty. Rather than retreat into the shadows of the scandal, she stepped forward into a life of service with a renewed and profound sense of purpose. For Sophie, redemption was never about public relations or grand apologies. It was earned through the quiet, consistent currency of sincerity and action. She devoted herself to a vast portfolio of charities across the UK and abroad, lending her steadfast presence to vital but often overlooked causes, from blindness prevention and women's empowerment to youth education. Through this diligent, unspectacular work, the public began to witness a new narrative emerge, one where she was defined not by a single mistake, but by a lifetime of dedicated service. Her humility transformed into her greatest strength, and her respectful silence became her most powerful statement. While never the loudest or most glamorous figure in the family, she steadily became one of its most deeply respected. This profound transformation did not go unnoticed within the monarchy. Queen Elizabeth II herself, a sovereign who valued discretion above all, saw Sophie's innate steadiness and often sought her company for private moments of reflection. But it was King Charles, a man himself deeply acquainted with personal trials and public redemption arcs, who understood the depth and authenticity of her journey most profoundly. King Charles saw in the Duchess of Edinburgh a narrative he deeply admired, and one he believed was essential for the monarchy's future: the ability to transform personal adversity into unwavering purpose. This was a quality he held in the highest regard as he endeavored to steer the institution toward a more grounded, authentic, and resilient era. For Charles, Sophie had come to epitomize the archetype of the modern royal the world now needed, one who was demonstrably hardworking, scandal-free, and rooted in a quiet, unassailable dignity. Her journey of resilience served as a powerful reminder to him and the entire institution that a person's character is not defined by the mistakes they make, but by the integrity and dedication they demonstrate in the years that follow. When Sophie stood beside the king years later at official ceremonies, her elevated role was not a product of mere favoritism or fortunate chance. It was a position she had earned, painstakingly forged in the fires of public trial, profound personal reflection, and an unwavering dedication to duty. She had walked directly through the heart of controversy and emerged on the other side stronger, wiser, and more steadfast than before. In the grand tapestry of royal history, Sophie's story stands as a rare and potent example of true grace under pressure, proof that in a world obsessed with fleeting image, genuine redemption and quiet strength still possess the profound power to reign. Yet, aside from her unquestionable merit, one might wonder if there was another, more strategic, reason behind Sophie's remarkable rise. This leads us to the inevitable question: what truly became of Meghan, the dynamic figure who once held that very platform of influence? Was she deliberately pushed aside to make room for this quieter vision? Or did she consciously step away by choice, creating a void that demanded to be filled? To understand the full picture, we must now unravel the story behind the royal exit that truly shook the crown to its core. It began as a bold, modern fairy tale, passionately rewritten for a new generation. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle first announced in early 2020 that they intended to step back as senior royals, the news sent a destabilizing jolt through the very foundations of Buckingham Palace. The royal family, an institution known for its centuries-old traditions and meticulously guarded uniformity, suddenly found itself at the epicenter of a global cultural earthquake. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were not simply leaving their roles, they were publicly challenging the very structure, constraints, and inner workings of the monarchy itself, forcing a reckoning the House of Windsor was not prepared to have. But what the public did not fully grasp at the time was that the couple's momentous decision was not a sudden rupture, but a slow, inexorable unfolding, much like a royal sunset gradually fading into a horizon of uncertainty. Behind the palace gates, this period was defined by a protracted series of private discussions, emotionally charged negotiations, and moments of quiet, simmering tension that stretched over many months. Queen Elizabeth II, though personally saddened by the evolving schism, endeavored to navigate the precarious situation with her characteristic grace and pragmatism, holding on to a fragile hope that a period of time apart might eventually pave the way for reconciliation, and that a unique model could be found where the couple's desire for independence might coexist with some form of ongoing royal duty. However, as the months slipped by, the chasm, both emotional and physical, only widened, making the prospect of a hybrid role increasingly unworkable. Then, on February 18, 2021, the official statement that confirmed the world's growing suspicions was finally released. With characteristic restraint, Buckingham Palace announced that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex had confirmed to Her Majesty that they would not be returning as working members of the royal family. Though the wording was brief and deliberately unemotional, its meaning was monumental. It marked the official, definitive end of an era and a clean, irrevocable break between the ancient monarchy and one of its most globally prominent couples. Just a year earlier, Harry and Meghan had spoken optimistically of carving out a progressive new role within the institution, one that would allow them to champion the crown while enjoying the personal freedoms and financial independence they sought. A vision many believed could potentially redefine the monarchy for the 21st century by blending tradition with modern autonomy. Yet, in the end, their ambitious vision proved fundamentally incompatible with the palace's ancient rigid system of hierarchy, unwavering protocol, and centralized control. What had begun as a hopeful evolution for the House of Windsor soon transformed into what commentators dubbed Megxit, a modern-day abdication that forced the royal family into a painful and public re-examination of its very identity. Their departure created more than just vacant slots on the royal roster of engagements. It left a profound emotional and symbolic void, raising a fundamental question about the nature and sustainability of the monarchy in an age dominated by media scrutiny and the primacy of personal choice. For the then Prince of Wales, it was a poignant reminder that not all crowns can comfortably hold their wearers, and that even a lifetime of royal duty can, and sometimes must, bow to the powerful force of personal conviction. When Meghan stepped away, the void she left was not merely a vacancy on the royal roster, but a glaring absence of a modern, female presence, making it imperative for the monarchy to find a new duchess to help carry its legacy forward. This raises a poignant question. Was Sophie's subsequent rise not just a strategic decision by King Charles, but a transition quietly blessed and approved by Queen Elizabeth herself? To understand this, we must uncover the profound and private details of the relationship between the two women, a bond that transformed Sophie into the Queen's quiet confidant. Behind the tall gates and gilded doors of Buckingham Palace, few outside the innermost circle ever truly grasped the depth of the connection shared by Queen Elizabeth II and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. To the public, Sophie was the picture of a dutiful royal, polite, elegant, and notably discreet, rarely seen making waves. Behind the scenes, however, she was far more than a distant in-law or a peripheral member of the Windsor family. She was a genuine companion in the truest sense of the word, someone who understood the woman behind the crown, not through the rigid lens of titles and protocol, but through the shared language of quiet empathy and inner strength. Their bond was not forged in the glare of grand state occasions or through formal gestures, but in the treasured still moments of private life. During long, contemplative walks across the misty hills of Balmoral, over intimate teas where easy laughter replaced royal ceremony, and in simple, unguarded conversations that required no audience and feared no leaks. The Queen, who over her 70-year reign had become an unparalleled judge of character, found in Sophie a rare and precious constant, a woman who neither aggressively sought the public's attention nor shied away from the weight of duty. Palace insiders often noted that Her Majesty saw something deeply familiar in Sophie, a reflection of her own unwavering steadiness, her profound, non-negotiable sense of service, and her innate ability to remain perfectly composed while the world outside spun into chaos. It is no surprise, then, that the Queen herself once described Sophie as dependable to the core. Coming from a monarch who valued reliability above all else, this was no casual compliment. It was a profound mark of trust, the kind reserved exclusively for those who had proven their worth in both unwavering loyalty and absolute discretion. In many ways, Sophie filled an emotional space that no one else could. She was not bound by personal ambition or political maneuvering. Her purpose was pure: to support, to listen, and to act when needed. Nothing more. During the Queen's final years, as the demands of public life grew more taxing and her private moments became infinitely more precious, Sophie evolved into one of her closest and most trusted confidants. She was a frequent, comforting presence at private family gatherings and was known to share quiet moments of prayer and reflection with the late monarch, a bond built not on status, but on a meeting of souls. When Queen Elizabeth finally passed, the loss struck Sophie with a force that words could scarcely capture. Her grief, while characteristically quiet, was undeniably profound. The world saw it in the camera's capture of her tear-filled eyes outside Windsor Castle, and in the graceful, solemn dignity with which she walked behind the cortege. Her expression revealed a complex tapestry of heartbreak and pride, and to those who knew her, it was clear she wasn't just mourning a sovereign. She was mourning a mentor, a friend, and the woman who had steadfastly believed in her potential when the wider world once doubted her. Crucially, that hard-earned trust did not end with the Queen's passing. In fact, it became the very foundation upon which King Charles would later rely, as he began the delicate work of reshaping the monarchy for a new era. He had observed Sophie's steadiness through years of personal and public transition, her unique ability to balance the unyielding demands of duty with genuine human warmth, and her unshakable devotion to the royal cause. In her, Charles saw something essential, not just loyalty to the crown as an institution, but a deep personal loyalty to the legacy and values his mother had left behind. The monarchy's stability, after all, rests not only on crowns and titles, but on those rare individuals like Sophie, who serve as the dependable, beating heart that keeps the crown steady through every storm. While her profound bond with the late Queen was firmly built upon a foundation of mutual loyalty, deep respect, and genuine affection, one must ask, did Sophie ever exploit the immense trust and privilege she was afforded? The answer lies not in words, but in the life she and Prince Edward consciously built. A life that has positioned them as the royal family's paramount example of stability and grace. The undeniable calm amid the perennial chaos. During an era when royal headlines were dominantly filled with scandal, controversy, and whispered feuds, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh quietly cultivated a world that stood in stark, purposeful contrast. Their home, Bagshot Park in Surrey, became more than a residence. It transformed into a symbol of balance, dignity, and a rare tranquility within the tumultuous monarchy. Their family operated on a different rhythm entirely, one devoid of televised tell-alls, dramatic interviews, or leaked stories designed to shake the palace walls. Instead, what flourished within their domain was a profound sense of quiet purpose, a living reflection of the core values that had long anchored the royal family before modern fame and relentless pressure began to blur its meaning. Sophie and Edward demonstrated a foundational understanding that others seemed to have forgotten, that being royal was never about the spectacle, but always about the substance of service. Inside Bagshot Park, the atmosphere was one of nurturing warmth and deliberate normalcy. Their children, Lady Louise Windsor and James, Earl of Wessex, were raised intentionally away from the public's glare, granted the precious space to grow and develop without the relentless scrutiny that haunted their royal cousins. Friends of the couple frequently described their household as one filled with genuine laughter, simple family routines, and a focus on grounding rather than grandeur, a philosophy Sophie herself once emphasized by stating how deeply she valued a normal family life. This truth was visible in her daily existence. Her mornings often began not with a camera flash, but with briefings on her extensive charitable portfolio, encompassing over 70 causes ranging from women's empowerment to rehabilitation programs for people with disabilities. Her afternoons were typically dedicated to visits at hospitals, community centers, and military institutions, where she was known to listen far more than she spoke, offering her full, undivided attention to everyone she met. She executed her duties with meticulous precision and a complete absence of spectacle, earning quiet, enduring respect rather than fleeting, noisy applause. Prince Edward perfectly mirrored this same composed dedication. Where others might have sought influence through visibility, he embodied a quiet perseverance. Together, they formed a partnership that represented a bedrock of stability. Not merely for their immediate family, but for the entire monarchy. Their relationship became an understated yet powerful testament to the idea that modern royalty could still authentically reflect old-fashioned virtues: loyalty, consistency, and modesty. This steadfast approach did not escape the notice of King Charles. As he ascended the throne and sought to reshape the monarchy into a more disciplined and focused institution, he looked directly toward the example set by Sophie and Edward. They represented the exact blueprint for what he desired the royal family to become: less concerned with public drama and more dedicated to enduring duty. In many ways, their marriage became the living embodiment of the phrase, "duty over drama." Where other royal couples visibly struggled under the weight of intense attention, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh thrived in its deliberate absence. Their strength was derived not from headlines, but from harmony, a powerful reminder that the most resilient and meaningful legacies are often built in silence. This very quiet strength is undoubtedly the reason King Charles saw Sophie as uniquely worthy of both an elevated royal title and his deepest strategic trust, cementing her role not as a stopgap, but as a cornerstone of his new reign. For years, Sophie had been the royal family's silent anchor, constant in her loyalty, dependable in her duties, and remarkably unscathed by the scandals that seemed to swirl around others. While some within the institution sought the glow of public attention, she remained steadfastly focused on the substance of action. This reputation for unwavering diligence and profound humility had already secured the deep respect of the late Queen Elizabeth II, and King Charles recognized in his sister-in-law the same brand of steadfastness his mother had always prized, a quality that felt increasingly rare in a family too often fractured by personal ego. Sophie stood apart not through volume or theatrics, but through her unwavering consistency. Therefore, when Charles made his shocking proposal to grant her the historic title of Duchess of Edinburgh, it was far more than a mere ceremonial honor. It was a powerful statement of intent. The title, once borne by his father, Prince Philip, carried a weighty legacy of loyalty, discipline, and unswerving service. Bestowing it upon Sophie was a definitive acknowledgement that she was the modern embodiment of those very values. It also served as a subtle yet unmistakable signal to the world. The monarchy was evolving, and its future stability would be built on a foundation of substance, not spectacle. The decision carried further symbolic weight, as Sophie's new role naturally filled, and in many ways redefined, the space Meghan Markle had once occupied before stepping back from royal duties. Yet, where Meghan's tenure was defined by media frenzies and public emotional turbulence, Sophie's approach offered a masterclass in calm and precision. She never chased interviews or sensational headlines, instead allowing her work to speak for itself. Whether visiting conflict zones, advocating for survivors of gender-based violence, or representing Britain with quiet authority at global summits, her presence commanded respect through action alone. Inside the palace, her rise instilled a renewed sense of credibility, with courtiers often referring to her as the monarchy's steady heartbeat. King Charles found himself increasingly relying on her sound judgment in navigating complex public appearances and delicate family matters. Her style was never about grandeur, it was about grace. Each public appearance was carefully measured, every word deliberate, and every gesture infused with a clear sense of purpose. The Duchess of Edinburgh had thus become something rare in modern royalty, a universally trusted figure. While the world passionately debated the institution's future relevance, Sophie served as living proof that its roots could still run deep. Her elevation marked more than just a personal success story. It symbolized the monarchy's conscious desire to return to its core essence: duty, devotion, and quiet endurance. In an era where crowns glittered under the harsh and unrelenting light of public scrutiny, Sophie reminded everyone that true royalty doesn't require noise to shine. It only requires purpose. King Charles clearly saw a compelling reason to reshape the monarchy's image through Sophie's remarkable rise. But what does her elevation truly signify for the future of the royal family? Her elevation was never about filling a vacant position, but about the far more critical task of rebuilding the very meaning of duty in an era when traditional loyalty had begun to lose its luster. While others consciously chose independence over obligation, Sophie deliberately embraced the more challenging path, the one of constancy. She remained at her post when others retreated, carried the royal standard when others laid it down, and tirelessly continued the quiet, unglamorous work that provides the ballast to keep the crown steady, even in the most turbulent of times. The essence of Sophie's strength has never been loud or self-congratulatory. It does not flash across tabloid headlines or trend on social media. Instead, it is found in the meticulous, often unseen details. The countless hours spent visiting hospital wards without a camera crew in sight, the speeches delivered to empower women and girls across the globe, the quiet moments where she has offered genuine comfort to families facing profound hardship. These acts of dedicated service might never generate global headlines, but they cumulatively build something far more enduring than public fascination. They build deep and abiding respect. Her unwavering presence within the royal family represents a rare form of leadership that does not require constant external validation. When King Charles envisioned a streamlined monarchy that prioritized substance over spectacle, Sophie naturally emerged as its very heart. Her calm steadiness serves as a powerful reminder to both the palace institution and the watching public that the truest symbols of royalty are not the glittering crowns or the designer gowns, but the timeless qualities of compassion, resilience, and quiet dignity. Sophie's personal journey also reflects something timeless about the British monarchy itself: that its long-term survival depends not on transient grandeur, but on enduring grace. Every step she takes is a living reminder that royal life is not meant to be a race for public attention, but a lifelong commitment to purposeful service. Where others sought to define their freedom by leaving, Sophie has powerfully defined it by staying true to her original promise, steadfast in her role, and devoted to the people who still believe in the higher purpose behind the crown. She did not inherit this pivotal moment by mere chance or birthright. She earned it through decades of unyielding devotion, personal discipline, and genuine humility. In many ways, her story completes a symbolic circle, demonstrating that even in our modern age of relentless fame and noise, the quiet ones can, and often do, carry the greatest and most lasting influence. So, when history looks back on this transformative era, it may not remember Sophie as the Duchess who simply replaced Meghan, but as the woman who authentically restored meaning to royal duty. For while crowns may glitter brightly for a season, they inevitably fade with time. But character, the kind that stands firm through scandal, operates effectively in silence, and remains unwavering through change. That kind of brilliance never fades. It is, in its own way, eternal. And it is precisely this quality that Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, has come to represent for the modern monarchy. What do you think of Sophie's rise? Can she truly live up to these heightened royal expectations? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful commentary.